ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. Jewish tradition says that for everything you need a little bit of luck. Timing is very important. There was a terrible incident in the supermarket, the kosher supermarket in Paris. 4 people were assassinated, a policeman, including the man who assassinated, the terrorist. He was also killed. Why do I say that everything depends upon luck? Because that happened the day after the massacre in Charlie Hebdo, which is the magazine, the weekly in Paris, with their famous or infamous caricatures. 12 people were killed, and the 2 assassins, the 2 terrorists, eventually were killed too. Were it not that it happened simultaneously, maybe the world wouldn't have paid that much attention to the hyper-kasher killing of 4 people, innocent people, by the terrorists. Because at the same time, Boko Haram was killing thousands, and the world didn't react. There were marches in Paris, in all of France, of millions of people. In Paris alone, I think 1.3 million people marched to protest, to defend the right, the freedom of speech, because that's what they felt was being menaced by what happened with the horrible killings in Charlie Hebdo. Of course, some have argued, and rightfully so. Thomas Friedman in the New York Times said the Million Men March should have taken place in an Islamic country. Let the world of Islam react against these people. Reality is different. We have seen many marches in Islamic countries in favor of what happened in Charlie Hebdo. Rabbi Shmuley Boteach also wrote about the same thing, that the protests should really have been in an Islamic country. But unfortunately, they were not. So I say everything depends upon luck, because had the killings in the hyper-kasher not happened practically at the same time as Charlie Hebdo, terrible episode, the world wouldn't have paid any attention to it. Rabbi Warren Goldstein, the chief rabbi of South Africa, has written an essay recently where he says that the Jews are really the canary in the mine. They are the first to detect any poisonous gases, and they succumb to it. And when you see that the canary has died, you know that there's a terrible thing happening. You better get out of that mine. If something happens to the Jews, you should know. They are the canary in the mine. They are the first. But they are not the only ones. The gases that are venom for human beings eventually will reach you as well. And we see how the entire world is topsy-turvy. Many of the things happened in Israel first, but then they started happening in the United States. September 11th, 2001. But that's not the only episode. There are many, many episodes in Europe, in Asia, and Africa, all over the world that are happening. But Charlie Hebdo was a little different. Why was it different? It's somehow a holy principle in the world, freedom of speech. And I think it is important. Speech is given special importance in the Jewish tradition. How did God create the world according to the Bible? By speech. Vayomer Elokim, God said, and there was. God said, let there be light, and there was light. With speech you can build. With speech, unfortunately, many a time you can hurt other people. But no matter how great the hurt, it is no excuse, no reason to kill, to assassinate. The Pope used an example. He said, if somebody says something against my mother, who knows how I'm going to react? Maybe I'll react by hitting somebody. Maybe I'll hit him in the moment, but I will never kill him. To kill somebody, that is something of an altogether different order. I think in most countries, in many countries, in Europe, there is no death penalty. We are getting away from that. How can we contemplate that if a woman commits an error, she is married and she has an extramarital affair? Is that a reason to kill her? Not in the Western world. Are we in agreement with it? I hope not. But on the other hand, it is no reason to kill. So no matter how deep my convictions are, no matter how hurt I may feel by a caricature or by an expression, I have an option. I can defend my point of view. I am a believer. Somebody is an atheist. He is an agnostic. Well, he has the same right as I have in this world to be steadfast with my beliefs as he has with his denial of the existence of God. Well, let me show by my conduct, let me show by my good deeds that the belief in God brings about a better society. Let me show that. Let me be responsible about it. But on the other hand, to execute somebody, to assassinate him, no matter what the consequences for me are going to be because he defamed some of my religious principles, is, I think, something that Western civilization, that humankind should no longer tolerate. And I think that this episode with Charlie Hebdo is terrible. We should not let it go by. On the other hand, we shouldn't let go by any terrorist attempt, because the worst thing that can happen to a human being is to be assassinated, thereby eliminating any possibility to doing any more good in this world.